Hi everyone and welcome to Healthy Minds Life Coaching by Sanjeev. Today's topic is about depression. For me, talking about depression has been actually very challenging and an eye-opener for me since I had depression myself. What is the difference between depression and depressed thoughts? Depressed thoughts are when we have a few days where we're feeling down. We have a few days where we're having unuseful and toxic thoughts. And we have a few days where we are low in energy, emotionally drained. And those depressed thoughts really kind of challenge us for those few days. But what is depression? Depression is a topic that people really find it difficult to even ask for help, to even express the depression. And even after people have depression, it's so painful that to talk about it, it's very, very difficult. Today, as a Healthy Minds life coach, I'm going to talk about the depression that I had. If I can help at least one person in this video, it's worth expressing that there's a big difference between depression and depressed thoughts. So at the age of 17 to 19, for 2 years, I had deep, deep depression. During that time, it was really, really difficult. At that time, I was like, why have I got this? Where has it come from? I didn't actually want to tell anyone. I felt ashamed, I felt embarrassed, and I used to keep it a secret. So people used to ask me how I was, and I said, I'm absolutely fine, I'm great, I'm okay. And I always had a smile on my face, always felt that I wasn't going to discuss it with anyone. And in my thought process, it was like failure, I'm a loser, all these thoughts were going through my head. I can't achieve anything, and I used to freeze. I used to be really always kind of saying bad words to myself, really lost. And at that time, I remember going to the doctor and speaking to a doctor and mentioning to a doctor that I have mental health challenges, I've got depression, I feel that it may come from a health issue. And then I realized actually when speaking to a doctor, I have dyslexia and dyspraxia. So all the years that I had dyslexia and dyspraxia, I didn't get the help from the teachers, I didn't get the support I needed, but I never spoke up about it. When I struggled with reading, when I struggled with coordination, when I struggled with general things, because dyspraxia is like a coordination challenge. So I didn't speak up. And when I got to A levels, when I was studying in school, my A levels, I didn't do well. I went to college and I didn't do too well there. So that's a chapter in my life. And at that stage, I worked in a supermarket for 2 years. And you call yourself a failure, you call yourself someone that cannot succeed, you feel lost, emotional outbreaks. And I actually didn't tell anyone. I went to a counselor, went to a doctor, but I didn't tell anyone around me because I felt that if I told someone, it would mean that I'm more of a failure. And often in depression, we may do it secretly, may go to a doctor secretly, we may go to therapists secretly, but we actually do not really tell anyone around us because we feel really ashamed, embarrassed. We feel that people will not understand us, and I didn't actually understand myself, to be honest. It was like a black cloud. It was like a feeling that this cloud was following me everywhere. And anything I did, I just felt that it was just too difficult. So at the age of 17, when I went to the counselors, I got some support, loads of tests done, like brain scans. So I took the another route I also found under psychiatrists that I had my test done where I found out I had dyslexia and dyspraxia. So I started moving forward. I found a acupuncture doctor that I had lots of acupuncture and pranic healing, energy transformational therapy. And through that, my thoughts started changing. I started becoming more spiritual. I started doing meditation, lots of yoga, breathing exercises really supported me. Started going for walks, and I started changing the way I looked at myself. So I started saying kinder words to myself. I still, even through that, I actually didn't tell anyone I had depression. I only told one of my close family members, and I didn't tell anyone else. So nobody knew I had depression, even though I was suffering with it every day. It sounds absolutely strange, but even through the healing process, I actually didn't tell anyone that I was going through depression. I didn't even tell anyone I had dyspraxia and dyslexia. So that's how bad depression is. And with depression, when we get it, we have cycles of it. So you might have it for 2 years, 3 years later, it may come up again. Another 2 to 3 years, it may come up again. So in depression, how do we overcome depression? And you may have looked at many videos, you may have looked at many motivational videos, you may have looked into many coaches where they talk about how to improve on depression, how to get through it. But when you have it yourself, you understand that when you're actually going through it, you feel so alone. You can read books, you can look at all the motivational videos, but you feel more depressed because you just can't figure out where the depression is coming from, how to get through it. You're in a state where that cloud is like a deep sleep. You're in a deep sleep of ignorance, and the ego goes so low that it's almost a feeling like there's no way out, and that's very painful. How did I get through depression and those cycles of depression? The first thing I did is go to a counselor. I talked about it. I found out, what to do to get through it. I then decided to take the right help. So I asked the right help. So I necessarily went to the right person. It wasn't family. It wasn't friends. It was going to someone outside where I felt that they had something in common, where they understood how I feel and they understood how their clients feel. So I went to acupuncture, I went to pranic healing, where they understood me. Went to a coach, where the coach understood me. I went to hypnotherapy, where the hypnotherapist supported me. And what happened during the depression is that in the first stage I went to certain people to get me through that. I became very spiritual. I understood myself spiritually, and I understood where it was coming from. And necessarily, it doesn't have to spark up from actually anger or hatred. It can just spark up out of nowhere. It's not necessarily that it could be from a past trauma. It can just come up because you feel lost, you feel you have no direction, you can just feel that you have no life purpose. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's coming from someone or something. It could just be from being present, from wanting oneness, from understanding who we are. And that can make big changes. So I firstly understood who I am, where I come from, understanding what is my life purpose and why am I here in this world. That made a big difference and big change to clearing off and reducing the depression. Further on, a few years later, I had it again, and the trigger was having a dyslexia and dyspraxia. So during work, there was some work challenges, and the depression came in because I was struggling with coping strategies, and a voice inside was like, I can't do it. And again, it was really strange because I was stronger. However, I couldn't tell people I had learning disabilities. So the depression came from that. And when I then started opening up more and saying, look, I've got learning disabilities, I need more support, and being firm about it, I realized that actually asking for help is really, really important in every single way. The moment you ask for help and you admit that, okay, you need help, and you ask the right people and you talk to the right people, you feel less embarrassed and more valued. And coming from an Indian background and culture, that's another thing that, what would society say that depression, what would the Indian culture think, man being emotional, having depression, that's another thing. So best thing, whatever culture you are, go to the right people for help. Never be afraid of admitting and accepting that you have something like depression, or you have to deal with it and learn how to focus on yourself, and you want to find your life purpose. So in every single way, call for that help. Never be afraid. The story I'm giving today is purely because there may be someone out there who feel unable to speak about their depression. They're unable to feel positive and happy enough to go to the right therapist, to go to the right coach, to go for the support that they need. Today, I am speaking about all this because you may need help today. So if you need help, always ask for help. Thank you very much.